In the beginning there was nothing. Then God said, let there be more wastes of time. And voila! The video game was created. At least I wish it was that easy to describe, because then this project would be a lot shorter than it already is. But that's not how this works. So, let me just start from the beginning, and then we'll go as we go. You know. Oh yeah, sorry, I think there's something in my throat.
Ooh, sorry about that. But before I talk about video games, I have to talk about pinball. Now, I know that sounds really random, but I'll get back around to it, I swear. You just gotta trust me here. So the year's 1930, and America has a problem. Everyone loves gambling, but we don't have enough dealers. So, how do we solve this problem without hiring more people, which would cost more money? We make gambling machines that can gamble on their own. World famous American ingenuity coming in clutch again and again. So New Yorkers see this pre-existing game called Plinko and adjust it for an American market so it can sit upright in a bar or restaurant and casino and lie there collecting money unattended. It cashes out and collects everything by itself and has glass over the top so you can't cheat. You don't even need somebody to watch them play. You can quite literally set it and forget it. A lot of people bought into this immediately, and it was a reasonable success at the time. And now a lot of small businesses in New York and surrounding places have a completely luck-based machine that passively collects money. It was great. Well, was great until a bunch of women got together and decided that America doesn't need booze anymore. Now we can't drink, we can't smoke, and most importantly, we can't gamble. No! This forever changed the pinball industry and pretty much killed off the entire sport until after the Second World War, when everyone had a bunch of money because the economy was so good and wanted to spend it recreationally. We still can't gamble, but we can put little flippers in the gambling machine and make it slightly less luck-based, just enough to get around that whole gambling thing that we can't do anymore. Don't worry, people were still gambling, they just got to do it in a different way with the invention of the slot machine. They existed before, but really didn't become popular until after the World War. So now pinball, not gambling anymore, kind of its own thing. But now we've got a new problem, because now that it's not gambling, nobody wants to play it. I can't gamble and get more money. I want more money. Money. So how do people that buy these machines still make money off the thing that is significantly less popular because we can't gamble with anymore? How about this? We get a bunch of these machines, put them in a house, and then call it a penny arcade. So now if you get bored of one of them, you could just find a different one and not be bored anymore. Woo! And we're not just talking arcade machines here. We're talking love testers, we're talking crane games, we're talking all sorts of skill-based amusements. We got a bunch of them, put them in a house, put the house on the boardwalk, and it's a novelty attraction. You come in, you spend some money, have a good time, have a sody pop with your friends. Hey, this is really fun, I can kind of get behind this. I mean, it's like a novelty thing, not gonna do this all the time, but like, it's fun once in a while. And now it's the 1960s, and inflation is terrible, and now we use quarters instead of pennies. What is wrong with the economy, dog? If I gotta pay more than a penny for this, I don't want it! I don't want it no more! And then the whole, industry crashed. So all the carnies got together and said, okay, nobody wants to deal with our stupid machines anymore, because half of them don't make money anymore, and the other half are too expensive, so why don't we take this newfangled thing called the electronic game and, make more of them? Woo! And now people aren't buying games. They're not paying to play a stupid little pinball machine. They're paying for a piece of innovation. They're paying for the future, baby. And people really liked that. This is like bonkers for these people. This is new frontiers, baby. The future is now. I can now shoot people with a light gun in 3 different colors. This is the future. But now it's the 70s. People are starting to calm down from this whole innovation thing. Still very big, but less so. People are less excited. And some random nerd thinks, hey, people got TVs in their home. They watch the sports. They watch Nixon himself on live television. What if we put a game on that thing? And so they did. It took them 10 years to do this. And that took 10 years. The Magnavox Odyssey had a bunch of games that you played by putting a mat over top of your CRT and it sticks using a static electricity, and then you just like play with a friend over that. You want to see how you play roulette in this thing? You close your eyes, grab your toaster, and spin the dials. Not only is this the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but we've come full circle from the gambling machine that got outlawed. Now we're gambling on the fun thing. This thing was sold to children. The only caveat with this funny fun machine is that it costs like $1 billion and also kind of sucked in all aspects. So some random guy said, hey, there's one good game on this entire console. What if we take away the big price tag by making this a cabinet, put it in those arcades that already exist, and then charge $0.25 for friends to play ping pong? And of course, this went nowhere. It was a little fad that died out, and I'm just kidding. It's one of the biggest games of all time. The ability to pick it up and play proved to the entire world that this wasn't a fad and was something that could have been commercially viable if people just put the man hours into developing it. And develop it they did. Everyone wanted to dip their toes into the infinite well of the video arcade. And dip they did. We got Breakout, we got Space Invaders, we got Galaxian, we got Asteroids, we got a billion other games that all cost $0.25 to play. It was wondrous. Now any schmuck that had something as small as $0.25 could go to their local video game location and blow it all. It wasn't even difficult. The barrier to entry was so low that a lot of these games suffered from being really simplistic and boring, and therefore lost some people after a little while. But that all changed in the year of our Lord 1980 with the invention of one game that would revolutionize gaming forever. Pac-Man. Pac-Man. If anybody had their doubts about video gaming becoming mainstream, 1980s Pac-Man completely revolutionized the gaming industry again. They made so many versions of this game, dude. There was Pac-and-Bell, there was Mrs. Pac-Man, there was Super Pac-Man, there was Pac-Man Plus. Don't know how it's different from Super, don't ask me. Pac-Man Jr., Pac-Man Babies. It's a pinball machine as well as a game. I don't know what's happening, but I love it. They made so many games, dude. So many games. These were all arcade games, too. You just go to your local arcade, and you can play up to hundreds of these different cabinets. It was lucrative. And just like the stock market before 1929, people thought this was going to go on potentially forever. But that was until 1982, when this one company that I've neglected to mention up to this point released the biggest stinker of a video game that the world had ever seen up to that point. Of course, I'm talking about the Atari 2600 and the game E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Now, I never mentioned the Atari 2600 just because the Atari 2600 is honestly kind of boring. All the cool stuff was happening in the arcades, but the Atari was a home console that had cartridge games that you'd pop into the system and then you could play a bunch of different games. It was nice because of how cheap it was, but in terms of gameplay, it suffered a little. That was until 1982 when they released E.T. the Extraterrestrial right before Christmas to capitalize on that movie stardom, that movie fame. Now, this game was so confusing and stupid that almost every single person that played it returned it to the store in which they bought it from, which caused a big dip in the stock market of Atari, which caused a lot of investors to pull out, which led a lot of critics to write about it, and therefore everyone thought the gaming bubble had burst. We're kind of done here. It was so bad to the point where Atari had so many cartridges of E.T. lying about that a year after it was released to the public, Atari bought a patch of land in Mexico, dug a gigantic hole, and buried all of the Atari games in a big ditch because they just couldn't get anyone to take them off their hands. That led to the video game crash of 1982 and completely crashed the video game market until the Super Famicom, known in the US as the NES, came over to the States and revitalized things. But I'm not going to talk about that. My work here is done. I told you everything that you need to know. Maz, give me a good grade. Give me a good grade. I need it.